I just want to give my thoughts on Only Murders in the Building Season 1. I binge watched the entire series both last night and this morning during my days off work, and I just want to say this series is absolutely astonishing. I'm playing Spider-Man because the series does take place in New York City, and it mostly, you know, there's the oh my god, just so many thoughts about this series. It's absolutely spectacular. So, for those who don't know what Only Murders in the Building is, it is a relatively new crime series based on 3 massive true crime lovers who follow a specific podcast, and they all end up bonding over their enjoyment of this podcast and their love for true crime, and then they wind up investigating the murder of Tim Kono together. The series is led by Steve Martin. I forgot his name. Sorry, I'll get it up now. I'll just get the cast up. Only Murders in the Building. Cast. It's a 1 minute. The series is led by Martin Short, Steve Martin, and Selena Gomez, which is one I never thought I'd ever see those 3 working together in such a cool and just astonishing way. I absolutely loved their chemistry on screen. I loved their acting. I think all of them were just absolutely astonishing. And honestly, I've always been a big fan of Selena Gomez. I think some of her songs are absolutely fantastic. My favourite Marshmello song is the one he did where he collaborated with her in Wolves. I love that song. It's an absolutely gorgeous song, and I love Selena Gomez. She's such a down-to-earth and just fantastic performer, and her acting skills are truly exceptional. They are really good, and I'm really happy with the performance they all delivered. I wish I'd have started watching this show last year, but I have binge watched all of season 1. I can't wait to get started on season 2. It's great. It is really great I found this show now, because obviously my favourite TV show, The Walking Dead, is coming to an end. I kind of fell off the Riverdale bandwagon, and I don't really know if I'm going to be going back to it as much as I'd like to. I don't really class the MCU shows as proper like classic TV. I see them more as just short, divided movies. But yeah, I'm so just flabbergasted with how good this show was. I think the thing I liked the most was the balance between serious, heartfelt, emotional dialogue and the exchange with comedy as well. I think those comic relief moments were truly something brilliant, especially when we're introduced to some quite sad plot elements. For example, each of the main characters, Oliver, Charles and Mabel, they all had their own demons inside, really. Charles, he suffered with excessive loneliness. I'm not going now, there'll be nothing there. Mabel, obviously she was heavily related to the victim of the crime, Tim Kono. So that personal demon was haunting her. Obviously the death of her best friend Zoe, false imprisonment of Oscar. All of that was bothering her. And then with Oliver, I feel like Oliver, he had probably the most underdeveloped arc, in my opinion, which I really hope season 2 rectifies, because I found Martin to be Oliver. Martin's the actor. I found Oliver to be more annoying than interesting in some areas, but at the same time, I did fairly enjoy Oliver's character. I thought the idea of Oliver having his big regret of Splash the Musical, which is awesome, by the way, and I love the callbacks they made to like Hamilton, Les Mis, Hedda Gabler, A Doll's House. I love the references to that, and insinuating that Oliver just hated those musicals, or they were his past work. I thought that was really cool. You know, Oliver kind of reminded me of one of my old drama teachers, which is why I genuinely like his character. But I think the whole regret aspect of, you know, how he left 12 of the 12 chorus members for Splash the Musical seriously injured. I feel like that was massively underdeveloped. I think the whole relationship between Charles and Jan was really good. I did actually call it that Jan was going to be the killer. I don't know, I just kind of got that vibe from her, that it was all a bit of an act, which, to be honest, I'm kind of glad I was right, because I thought it was much more interesting than making it the Dimas's. I genuinely thought that was much more interesting, and I loved the deaf community representation with Theo. I thought Theo was an awesome character, and I love how his part in Zoe's death was purely accidental. I thought that was so good, and I really do hope that we see Theo once again. Especially, there are much more. There's so much unfinished business between him and Mabel, because, you know, Mabel at this point doesn't know about the part he played in Zoe's death, and I think it'd be lovely to have that kind of interaction between Mabel and Theo, and maybe even Mabel could kind of, instead of being completely cold and cruel with him, she could kind of show a little bit more understanding if she can understand the full story. I kind of get that vibe from Mabel. I think she's a much more selfless character. She was an absolute badass, by the way. Definitely my favourite character, and much more to the point that she's played by a fantastic singer and a fairly brilliant actor. In all fairness, you know, I can't just get over how good the balance was in tone. Because on Disney Plus, which is the platform I watched it on, it was described as crime, mystery, drama, and comedy, and they really did balance all of those together wonderfully. In fact, I think that probably a better balance than some of the things I've seen in a lot of MCU shows lately, which is not a dig at the MCU. You know, they're my favourite film production studio, and just my favourite production studio altogether, and my favourite franchise altogether. But I think Only Murders in the Building really did just nail the balance in tone, in comedy. I thought the use of swearing, and now this is a really weird thing to point out. Sometimes I think some TV shows can get absolutely carried away with themselves, where, you know, the character's just saying F in this, F in that, in literally every single line they say, and it gets really repetitive and just really silly, and it feels like I'm watching a bunch of teenagers have a general conversation, which, to be fair, if it's a show based on teenagers, then it makes more sense, but at the same time it's still a little bit just annoying at times, because it's like, you know, I've got nothing against swearing. In fact, I swear too much. I'll fully admit to that. But at the same time, you know, there's a line when there's literally every single line that's being delivered by the actor has just got some form of swear word, and usually it's the F word, and it just gets boring. But I love how Only Murders in the Building really didn't go down that route. I think, you know, it had its fair share of profanity and fair share. You know, it's a 16 rated show, so I don't think I wanted to go too in depth with it, you know. And to be fair, it was only one. You know, most 12s only have like certain words. It was a really weird thing to point out, but I genuinely I'm quite impressed with how they kind of balanced it, and it felt really realistic. It genuinely felt like this show took place in 2021 as it was released. It felt really in time. and not cringeworthy. It didn't feel overly forced or overly, you know, I'm gonna probably end up getting in trouble for saying it, but woke. It didn't feel woke at all. You know, and I can't remember the name, but the policewoman that had a wife, I thought that was awesome. You know, it just felt so natural, as it should be. They didn't make a massive deal out of it. It just felt really, it felt really cool and really normal. And I think I would love to see that kind of turn into a bit of comic relief, really, especially with Charles and Oliver, because they are much older. So they're probably from a generation that didn't approve of homosexuality, although they don't seem to have a problem with it themselves. I just really enjoy. I just really enjoy this series as a whole. I thought season 1 was exceptionally good. Hulu, I have to say, I'm really impressed with what I've seen of Hulu. I watched Pam and Tommy back in around March time, and that was honestly such a fantastic production. Oh, not production, but you know, TV show. That was really good. Only Murders in the Building, I have to say, is just really, really good. If there's anything I didn't enjoy about the series, I think, whilst there was a really good balance, I think there was some things that just kind of got you know, ignored a bit too much. For example, you know, Oliver, he turns his trauma into comic relief, which I think is in line with his character. You know, I wouldn't encourage that. I don't think trauma is something that should be made fun of. But at the same time, oh, this kind of looks like the start building. No, never mind. I personally wouldn't, turn my trauma into comic relief. But at the same time, I keep calling him Martin. Oliver is the kind of person that would do that. So I do think it's pretty cool to that degree. That they are kind of keeping in line with his character, although I do think that they need to kind of delve a bit deeper into that trauma, because you know, not everyone is going to be partly responsible for some mass injuries, especially on a production that you're taking creative control over, and not just creative control, but mass responsibility. I think it's such a significant thing. It's not really something that should be completely underlooked. Audio sharing at the advanced setting. I just want to, yeah. Oh wait. Just gonna take another screenshot of this, and then we'll be back on. But yeah, I just really enjoyed most of what this show did. In terms of returning characters, I kind of hope we get a little bit of a fresh slate. I hope we keep the policewoman and her wife. I hope we get a bit more of Martin's relationship with his son, Adam, I think that his name was. I hope he comes back. The Dumases, I'd like to see Theo again. I'm not really that bothered about Teddy. I think Teddy was just he felt a little bit one-dimensional to some degree. Kind of felt a little bit like a little bit like a really tame Wilson Fisk from Daredevil, just minus the physical manpower, the masculinity. It kind of felt like a little bit of a Wilson Fisk, or better yet, quite like Sonny from Ant-Man and the Wasp. I can't remember his surname. The corrupt dude that Scott winds up needing to steal the lab from. But yeah, I think the series itself is definitely one to look out for 2022 or 2020's bangers. for 2010s or 2000s to 2010s, we got some really cracking TV shows and projects like, you know, The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, you know, Stranger Things, some really exceptionally good TV shows, just binge worthy as well. And I think Only Murders in the Building is definitely one to look out for. You know, I think that this show in particular kind of sets a new standard for comedy mixed with drama, because I can't really say this is just a regular a comedy show. It's nothing like, you know, it's not nothing like a sitcom. It's a continualized drama or serialized drama that has a lot of comedic value to it, which is why it is classed as a comedic subgenre. It is really good. I've said that so many times, and I'm going to say it so many more. The actual series itself, I would personally rank it. Season 1 in particular, I would rank in terms of, you know, TV shows I've seen on Disney Plus. I'd say it's one of the best first seasons I've seen of a show. You know, Hulu, I think, are really good at what they do. Hulu in particular, I think, are really good at mixing comedy in with a lot of serialized and just, you know, really dark themes. I thought the theme of loneliness was really present in this show, and I thought that was orchestrated wonderfully. I hope that we see a different theme developed in season 2. I've not started season 2 yet. There's actually 2 episodes left of it, so I'm kind of reluctant to completely binge it, mostly because of the fact that I'm gonna have to want to start catching up anyway. But I think for a TV show that is so well balanced, I think it would be good to explore more themes. You know, we've had loneliness, which is a massive theme. I would quite like to see the theme of fear be you know, put together quite well. And honestly, I really hope that this show ends up taking on some holiday specials as well. I'd love to see a Halloween-based episode of this show where everyone's dressed up in, you know, famous costumes, or, you know, licensed under the Disney brand, on a Disney corporation. You know, I'd love to see that kind of yeah, I'd love a Halloween episode where, like, the main characters are dressed up as famous characters that are licensed under Disney. Personally, I would do Oliver as P.T. Barnum. Obviously, not just the real guy, but the main character from Greatest Showman. I think Oliver would be awesome as P.T. Barnum. Charles, I'm not entirely sure with Charles yet, who I would dress him up as for a Halloween episode. Mabel, I will probably end up doing a Marvel-based character for her, possibly Black Widow. I got some really strong Natasha Romanoff vibes from Mabel. Charles, I'd actually have to go with Han Solo from The Force Awakens, or, you know, his appearance from The Force Awakens. I think he has that Harrison Ford charm to him. You know, Charles Hayden Savage is so good. I would definitely consider designing, you know, dressing him as a Han Solo kind of figure. But yeah, I really enjoyed this show. I'm not really one for comedy. I never have been. My sense of humour is pretty weird. It's pretty messed up. So when it comes to comedy shows, I never really find it funny. But there were some genuine moments here that I actually laughed at, and I thought, wow, this is really good. This is actually just fantastic. That was really dodgy. But I don't know. I think some of the comedy, I think it didn't really feel slapstick. Oh, getting my arse kicked here. It never really felt slapstick at all, which I enjoy, because I think slapstick is massively overrated. I'm not really one for slapstick comedy. I think I quite like it when it's just blatantly funny. I like instead of a really condescending subtone, I liked how the generational contrast between Mabel, Charles and Oliver served more as it felt more like a connection between them than it did just a standard condescending old person versus young person conflict. And obviously because Mabel is she is a child of the 90s and roughly considered to be a millennial, it's quite authentic to see that she's learning things from both Oliver and Charles, and both Oliver and Charles are learning things from her. I think that's such a wonderful dynamic, and I think when it comes to most two male-female trios, that's something that's relatively underused and underdone. You take like Harry Potter, Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger, for example. That you couldn't really have that kind of dynamic with those three because of the fact that they're all the same age. But with Charles, Oliver and Mabel, it feels really fresh and authentic because they are completely different in age. It feels more like a universal connection between the old generation and the young one, and the comedy as well. The comedy really does cater to many demographics. You've got the whole Charles is being haunted by Bugs Bunny and Porky Pig, and then Oliver, who's very much Oliver very much has that almost Doc Brown-esque comedic tone to him, which I think is really nice because obviously Back to the Future is such a renowned franchise from its day, and it's nice to have that feel back in the 20s, the 2020s. Really, it's nice to have that feel back in the 21st century. I really did like what this series tried to do, and it tried to tell a serious story with a lot of comedic value, and it did it really well. If I was to say, out of all the series I've watched, where would I rank it? It might be on my lower top 10s, just because I have really enjoyed a lot of the stuff I've watched. On Disney Plus alone, I would personally rank it in my top 10s of things I've watched, new things I've watched, instead of it just being Marvel or Star Wars. I really have enjoyed a lot of my watches on Disney Plus. It's been really good, and honestly I think this series in particular is probably up there as being one of, if not my favourites. I do think once I've seen more of the series I probably will end up ranking it much higher, but I've only seen 10 episodes. Season 2's not finished airing yet. I've not started season 2 yet. I just really am impressed with what I've seen of this show so far, and to be honest I'm quite looking forward to seeing where the story goes. Obviously season 1 ended on a massive cliffhanger of Mabel. It brought the series, the season full circle, because obviously when we first started the season, way back in season 1 episode 1, we got that flash forward of Mabel in Bunny's room, covered in Bunny's blood. Oh, here we go. We got that really nice flash forward, and now it's all kind of come full circle. We're at that point now with the flash forward, and I just really liked where the series is going. Once we saw them all on the front top, the top of the building, we kind of saw what was going, because they're all in the same costumes they were wearing in that flash forward. So I'm really, really, really happy with how they ended the first season as well. It really does feel like it's going to be a very long running series. I'm hoping that Selena Gomez will still commit to it despite all of her music endeavors. I love Selena Gomez, and I just hope that she will be she'll still be as much of a badass as she is in the first season, and I hope that, if anything, I would like it if her music kind of made a cameo. I'm not saying that she, Mabel starts singing, but maybe like have a song playing as an Easter egg and make a little bit of a reference to it. Trying to. There you go. I love this. I love this move. But yeah, like just having like Selena Gomez's music make a cameo would be really sweet. Because she is a cracking artist. Honestly, she's really good. And I think her qualities as an actress simply makes her much more authentic. Oh god. There you go. Right, so I've kind of just been repeating myself for a bit, just talking about my thoughts on the show. And if I'm being honest, I really am looking forward to starting season 2. I'm not sure if I'll be starting it right away. I might start some of it today, play some games for a bit, and then maybe jump on it tomorrow before I go back to work. But yeah, once the series is done, once the season 2, I've watched all of it and it's finished, I'll probably do another follow-up video stream, just talking about my thoughts on season 2. I'm just blown away by this series so far. That's all I've had to say on the matter really. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time.